Witch's Rage Series number 12, Soulmate Illusion.
Part 1. The Fantasy.
Everyone loves to dream about finding a soulmate. You imagine they'll arrive like a savior, fixing your loneliness, filling the cracks in your heart, proving that you are lovable at last. You light candles, write in journals, ask the universe to deliver the one. You cling to this fantasy because it feels safer than admitting the truth. You have abandoned yourself. The problem isn't that your soulmate hasn't arrived. The problem is that you aren't even present for yourself. Every time you repeat, "I'm waiting for my soulmate," what you are really saying is, "I don't want to face me." The fantasy becomes a drug, giving you a high that keeps you from taking responsibility. Look closely. You want someone kind, stable, spiritual, secure. But do you embody any of those qualities for yourself? Or are you hoping another person will do the heavy lifting so you never have to? You treat the universe like a delivery service, demanding it send you the perfect lover while you refuse to show up for your own life. Here's the fire. A soulmate is not missing, you are. They will not arrive to fix your chaos. They are not a bandage for your wounds or a magic cure for your emptiness. They will only mirror what you refuse to face. And if you can't even look yourself in the eyes with honesty, no partner will ever stay. Stop hiding behind the fantasy. Stop chanting and waiting while your life rots in avoidance. The only way love will ever find you is when you finally stop running from yourself. Part 2. The Mirror. Here's the brutal truth. A soulmate is not a rescuer. They are a mirror. They don't arrive to carry your wounds. They arrive to expose them. If you are drowning in fear, denial, or self-betrayal, the one who shows up will reflect every shadow you've avoided. That's why so many so-called soul connections feel like firestorms. You call it fate, you call it twin flames, but what you are really staring at is yourself. You crave romance, yet when it arrives raw and unfiltered, you panic. Because what you wanted wasn't truth, you wanted anesthesia. But a soulmate doesn't numb you. They strip you naked. They force you to see the lies you've been feeding yourself. The universe doesn't send comfort, it sends confrontation. And when that mirror is held up, most people run. They declare it was toxic, when in reality, it was their own unhealed chaos coming back with a vengeance. This is why fantasy is safer. You can worship an idea without being confronted by your reality. But when the mirror finally appears, everything you buried rises to the surface. It is merciless. It demands honesty. And if you've built your life on avoidance, you'll feel like you are under attack. Stop calling chaos destiny. Stop blaming fate when your illusions explode. Your soulmate didn't break you. They revealed what was already broken. The question isn't, why did they leave? But what part of me was I unwilling to face when they showed up? Until you answer that, every love will feel like war. Part 3. The Choice. So, let's drop the excuse. I'm waiting for my soulmate. Waiting is cowardice disguised as faith. The universe is not your dating service. A soulmate does not appear to complete you. They appear to expose you. They don't erase your loneliness. They show you where you've abandoned yourself. If you can't face your own reflection, no partner will ever stay. Because the first time they mirror your truth, you'll sabotage it. You'll call it toxic, you'll run back to fantasies, and you'll keep repeating the cycle. Love cannot survive where honesty is missing. The real doorway to love opens when you stop betraying yourself. When you quit outsourcing your wholeness and finally decide to stand in the fire of your own truth. That choice, brutal, raw, terrifying, is what allows a soulmate to remain. Not because they rescue you, but because they no longer have to carry the weight of your denial. So here's the fire. Stop chanting, stop begging, stop dreaming. Look yourself in the eyes and say the words you've been terrified of. I am enough. I am the one who must show up. When you make that choice, the mirror shifts, and only then, when you stop hiding behind excuses, will the love you crave stop running from you. Your soulmate isn't missing. You are. Witch's Rage Series number 13, Healing Illusion.
Part 1. The lie.
You say you're healing. You light candles, line up crystals, press play on meditation tracks, and write endless journal pages. You cry, you sigh, you post online about your healing journey. But let's rip this open. Most of what you call healing is nothing more than licking your wounds. You're not healing, you're rehearsing pain. You've turned your suffering into a daily ritual, stroking it like a pet you refuse to release. Real healing is not cozy. It is not lavender baths, soft playlists, or pretty notebooks. Those things may calm you for a moment, but they are not surgery. They're sedation. You've mistaken comfort for transformation, but comfort never rewrites your story. It just numbs you enough to keep you from facing the truth. Healing is meant to break cycles. But when you hide behind rituals that make you feel spiritual while never challenging your habits, you're not healing. You're decorating your cage. And you love it because it feels safe. You tell yourself, I'm doing the work, when in reality, you're just looping inside the same misery. The worst part? You've started to take pride in your wounds. You show them off, talk about them, identify with them, until you no longer know who you are without them. And that is not healing, that is addiction. You've become addicted to the drama of your own pain. So here's the rage: stop lying. Stop using the word healing as a shield for your refusal to change. Tears are not progress. Journals are not transformation. Healing is not supposed to keep you comfortable. Healing is supposed to rip you open and demand a new life. If you're not bleeding truth, you're not healing, you're hiding. Part 2. The wound. Here's the truth you avoid. Real healing is not gentle. It is not meant to keep you comfortable. It is meant to dismantle bombs.
Think about that.
Healing is surgery without anesthesia. It cuts into the infection before it poisons everything. And yes, it hurts. It's supposed to. When true healing starts, it doesn't look like soft music and essential oils. It looks like rage bubbling up after years of silence. It looks like grief that bends you to the floor. It looks like nights where your chest shakes, your breath breaks, and you wonder if you'll survive. This is not evidence that you are failing. This is the work. This is demolition before reconstruction. But you don't want demolition. You want a spa day. You want a practice that soothes without confronting, rituals that numb instead of transform. You hide in circles, chanting affirmations, convincing yourself you are doing the work, while the real bomb ticks louder in your chest. You are terrified to defuse it because you know, once you cut the wires, your old self dies. And that death is what you've been resisting. Stop pretending that comfort is progress. If it doesn't terrify you, if it doesn't strip illusions, if it doesn't demand sacrifice, then it's not healing, it's distraction. Real healing burns. It feels like destruction because the version of you that survived in lies has to collapse. You cannot rebirth without burial. You cannot rebuild without ruins. So here's the rage. Quit worshiping comfort. Healing is not the gentle hand on your shoulder. It's the fire that burns down your denial. If you want transformation, you must bleed for it. Anything less is maintenance of misery. Part 3. The truth. So let's stop pretending. You keep saying, I'm healing, but you've confused survival with transformation. You've confused self-soothing with growth. Healing is not meant to keep you in the same story. It's meant to end the story that's been killing you. Here's the truth. Healing is choice, not tears, not rituals, not another self-love meme. It is the moment you decide to stop living inside the wound. It's the day you stop blaming the past and finally cut the pattern. And cutting hurts. It always hurts. But that pain is the evidence of progress, not failure. You brag about doing the work, but what changes have you actually made? Have you ended the toxic cycle? Or are you still crawling back to it? Have you confronted the people you fear? Or are you hiding in safe spaces, calling avoidance boundaries? Have you chosen differently, or just repeated misery with prettier language? If nothing in your life is shifted, you are not healing. You are rehearsing. True healing breaks illusions. It doesn't let you stay the same. It pulls you out of victimhood and forces you to stand in responsibility. It kills your excuses. It strips your identity until all that remains is truth. And most people don't want that. They want anesthesia dressed as spirituality. But anesthesia wears off. Truth doesn't. So here's the fire. Stop coddling your wounds. Stop hiding behind the word healing like it's a shield. Healing is not soft. It is sharp. It is not soothing. It is savage. It is not waiting. It is choosing. Until you accept that, you're not healing. You're just decorating your pain and calling it holy. Witch's Rage Series number 14, Karma Illusion.
Part 1, the excuse.
I'm clearing karma, you say, as if karma were some cosmic stain that disappears with enough incense, mantras, or rituals. You treat it like spiritual laundry. Scrub hard, chant long, burn offerings, and believe you'll walk away pure. But karma is not a mystical punishment floating in the air. It's not your ancestors' fault. It's not a fog that vanishes because you prayed hard enough. Karma is brutally simple. It is the consequence of your choices, echoing until you make different ones. When you say, I'm working on clearing my karma, what you often mean is, I don't want to take responsibility yet. You hide behind the language of spirituality to avoid facing the truth. You use karma as a shield against accountability, hoping that chanting will erase the cost of your cowardice. But karma doesn't dissolve because you said the right words. It ripens. It grows heavier. And when the weight finally drops, it smashes the illusions you clung to. The excuse of karma lets you delay maturity. Instead of changing your choices today, you fantasize that ritual can rewrite yesterday. Instead of standing in the fire of consequence, you convince yourself the universe is merciful enough to erase your debts if you act holy enough. But the universe is not fooled. Karma is not cleared, it's collected. Every choice leaves a mark, and no incense is strong enough to cover the stench of avoidance. So, here's the rage. Stop lying to yourself. You don't clear karma, you break cycles. You don't chant it away, you choose differently. Every time you hide behind rituals instead of responsibility, you're not cleansing karma, you're compounding it. Part 2, the delay. When you say, I'm clearing my karma, what you really mean is, I don't want to grow up yet. You don't want to face the weight of your choices, so you hide behind rituals. You burn incense, repeat mantras, and convince yourself that the smoke is dissolving consequences. But karma isn't smoke, it's concrete. It doesn't disappear. It waits. Every day you postpone responsibility, karma ripens. Like fruit left too long in the sun, it softens, then rots, and finally bursts in your face. That's why cycles keep repeating, why the same heartbreak, betrayal, or failure returns again and again. It's not because your karma hasn't cleared, it's because you keep making the same choices, dressing them in new words, and pretending you've evolved. But nothing has changed. You've only delayed the inevitable. This is the lie of karma cleansing. It seduces you into believing time is your ally. That if you just keep chanting, one day the weight will lift. But time doesn't clear karma, time exposes it. The longer you delay, the louder the lesson becomes. Until eventually, it hits with such force that you have no choice but to face it. You don't avoid karma by hiding in rituals. You don't escape it by pretending to be spiritual. The universe doesn't care how holy you look while you dodge responsibility. It only cares what you choose. And every moment you delay that choice, you dig the hole deeper. So, here's the fire. Stop wasting years hoping for karma to evaporate. It won't. Stop postponing maturity. The bill always comes due, and the longer you delay, the higher the cost. Part 3, the consequence. Karma is not something you clear, it's something you live. Every choice you make writes itself into your future, and the only way to break the weight of karma is to choose differently. Yet most of you keep repeating the same patterns, then hide behind the word karma like it's an excuse stamped by the universe. But karma is not your permission slip, it's your scoreboard. Here's the brutal truth. Karma doesn't punish you. It just shows you the echo of your decisions. Lie enough times, and you live inside lies. Betray enough people, and you drown in betrayal. Avoid responsibility, and life hands you the same lessons until you can't escape them. This isn't mystical, it's accountability woven into reality. You don't clean karma by praying harder. You don't erase it by acting holy. You break karma by standing up and doing what you've always avoided, by cutting the cycle, by refusing to make the same cowardly choice again. Karma changes when you do, not before. Not because you asked nicely, but because you finally acted differently. So stop romanticizing karma as if it's some cosmic fog floating around you. It's not fog, it's your footprint. And it follows until you walk another path. The incense burns out, the chanting fades, the rituals end. What remains is your choice. Here's the fire. Karma is not a curse to be lifted. It's a mirror of who you've been. If you don't like what you see, don't pray it away.
Change.
Every moment is another chance to write a different story. But until you choose, karma will keep repeating the one you've already written. Witch's Rage Series number 15, Destiny Illusion. Part 1, The Waiting Game. I'm waiting for the right time. I'm waiting for the universe. I'm waiting for destiny. Do you hear yourself? That's not faith. That's paralysis. You've wrapped fear in spiritual language and convinced yourself it's wisdom. But the universe is not your babysitter, and destiny is not Amazon Prime. It doesn't show up at your door because you sat still long enough. Every time you say you're waiting, what you really mean is, I'm scared. Scared to choose. Scared to fail. Scared to be seen trying. So you cover your hesitation with talk of divine timing. You tell yourself the stars aren't aligned yet, that fate hasn't opened the door. But fate is not a locked gate. Fate is a road you refuse to walk. This waiting game has cost you years. Dreams rot while you sit on the sidelines. Opportunities pass because you never step forward. You keep whispering, one day, while that day bleeds into decades. And still you claim you're being patient, when in truth, you're just frozen. Destiny doesn't care how long you stall. It doesn't reward waiting, it punishes it. Every moment you sit still, the path ahead erodes. You lose strength. You lose momentum. You convince yourself the silence is peace, but it's actually decay. Here's the fire. Stop lying. You are not waiting for destiny. You are hiding from it. Destiny isn't something you wait to meet. It's something you create by moving, bleeding, breaking, and rebuilding. And every day you wait, you bury it deeper. Part 2, the fear. Let's strip away the mask. When you say, I'm waiting for divine timing, what you really mean is, I'm terrified. You're afraid of choosing wrong, afraid of failing, afraid of being seen as unworthy. So you wrap your paralysis in spiritual clothing and call it patience. But fear dressed in sacred words is still fear. You tell yourself, if it's meant to be, it will be. Convenient, isn't it? That way you don't have to risk anything. You don't have to act, don't have to face rejection, don't have to put your soul on the line. You can sit still, watch your life slip by and whisper, the universe has a plan. But here's the rage. The universe does have a plan. It's to confront you with the consequences of your inaction. Destiny doesn't coddle fear. It doesn't wait politely outside your door. It slams you against walls. It strips away illusions. It shoves you into moments where you either act or collapse. And the longer you hide, the more brutal the shove becomes. Fate doesn't get gentler with time. It gets harsher. You think silence equals safety, but it doesn't. Stillness isn't peace, it's rot. Every year you spend in waiting is another year your courage starves. Fear grows fat in your hesitation, until one day you wake up and realize you've built an altar to paralysis. Here's the fire. Stop calling fear faith. Stop worshiping delay as if it were devotion. Destiny isn't meant to comfort you. It's meant to break you open. And the longer you hide, the louder it will roar until you finally move. Part 3. The fire. Stop waiting for signs. Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for the universe to hold your hand. Destiny is not a gift wrapped in silk. It's a fire you walk into. It does not appear because you sat still long enough. It appears because you moved. Every time you whisper, "I'm waiting for my destiny," you hand your power away. You shrink. You let life happen to you instead of through you. But destiny isn't passive. It is forged. It is carved out of sweat, blood, mistakes, and choices that terrify you. If you think it will arrive without those, you're not chasing destiny. You're chasing fantasy. The truth? The door you're staring at will never open by itself. It's waiting for you to break it down. That's the only way destiny works. It doesn't slide quietly into your lap. It roars when you choose to act despite fear. Destiny is courage embodied. It is risk lived. It is the scar you carry from choosing instead of hiding. You keep saying, "One day." One day when the timing is right. One day when I feel ready. One day when the universe shows me a sign. But here's the fire. There is no one day. There is only today, and every day you delay is another grave you dig for your own purpose. So hear this clearly. Destiny isn't given, it's seized. It's not comfort, it's confrontation. It's not waiting, it's choosing. If you want it, move. Break the door. Burn the excuses. Walk into the fire. That is the only way destiny is ever real. Witches Rage series closing. For illusions ripped apart. Soulmate, healing, karma, destiny. Each one looks holy on the surface, but underneath they are just excuses. Excuses to keep running, to keep hiding, to keep dressing fear as spirituality. Here's the truth. Real spirituality is not about waiting, soothing, or chanting your way out of life. It is about choosing. Choosing to face yourself. Choosing to burn the lies. Choosing to step forward even when everything in you shakes. Soulmates don't save you, they mirror you. Healing doesn't comfort you, it breaks you. Karma doesn't vanish, it collects. Destiny doesn't arrive, it demands. So stop hiding. Stop numbing. Stop lying. The fire of truth will always find you, whether you walk into it willingly or get dragged in kicking and screaming. The only difference is whether you call it growth or collapse. This series is not here to make you feel safe. It's here to remind you that the path of spirit is fire, not sugar. And if you're ready to stop escaping, then welcome. Your real work begins now.